we're super excited. I'm not going in there.
No.
We're super excited to have Melissa Romani again with us this year, part of our Detox. She's written a new book, so we're super excited to be talking about that. And she's got a new set of things to share with us today.
Yes.
To be in the spirit of detoxing the raw way. So
Have fun. Welcome. Thank you for coming out, guys. So today, well, if some of you don't know that I am Lissa from Raw Food Romance, I have my Instagram, Facebook, a YouTube channel that's almost at 27,000 subscribers. And yeah, basically sharing my journey. I lost 70 pounds in about 14 months doing raw vegan, and this has been my third winter as a raw vegan. So I wrote this winter book has like winter warming recipes. So I use a lot of warming spices. I take advantage of dehydrators and how, like, if you can just put something in the dehydrator for a little bit of time, it warms it up a little bit. And at the back of the book, there's like tips and tricks on staying raw during the winter. But a lot of the recipes are kind of seasonal. They use a lot of seasonal ingredients and, again, a lot of spices to help warm you. You use the Vitamix. There's a couple soups in there. There's like a butternut squash ginger, enoki noodle, which is kind of like a chicken noodle, a sweet potato stew, minestrone, that all use the Vitamix to warm up the sauce or the soup broth. And you use that as your warming if you need something warming, but you can always have them cold as well. Doesn't really matter. But yeah, so I wrote these two books, the winter recipe book, and then this is my 30-day meal plan, which has 90 recipes in it. So it's 30 days of doing raw. So you have a different recipe for every breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a whole month. So if you follow it like day to day, they have, like, I wrote in there preparation, and you get daily shopping lists of everything that you'll need for the day. And in amongst the recipes, there's little pink squares that say, like, hey, don't forget to soak your almonds because you're going to need them for the next recipe. Or don't forget to rinse your sprouts at lunchtime so that you have the sprouts ready, you know, in 3 days when you're making your chili. So if you follow it recipe by recipe, it teaches you how to prepare and how to make sure that everything gets ready for you. Because a lot of times people think that a raw diet is so time consuming, but it's actually not. It's less time consuming than eating cooked foods, because when you're doing cooked foods, you don't only have to chop everything, but you have to cook it, you have to wait for it, you have to clean all the pots and scrape them after, and like there's so much to do with that. But the only real things that you have to do for preparation would be soaking nuts, rinsing sprouts, and chopping. Those are really the only time-consuming things. But rinsing your beans and soaking your nuts only takes 10 seconds. The problem is that a lot of people, when they look at a recipe, they see, you know, oh, I have to soak my nuts for 4 to 5 hours. Immediately they think this recipe takes 4 to 5 hours to make, plus the prep to make the recipe. They don't realize that it really only takes 10 seconds to put the nuts in water, but you have to do it 4 hours before. So I recommend, if you're gonna have soaked nuts with dinner, then just soak them at lunch. Right, when you're making your lunch, you just soak them at lunch, or you could soak them first thing in the morning, make your sauce at lunch, and then have it for dinner. So it's really actually a lot less time. We just have this thought process that it's so time consuming. Or your bean sprouts take about 3 days to make, so people feel it's like a huge event, but rinsing your beans 3 times a day takes 10 seconds. So I really teach how to do the prep properly in there so that you always have ingredients ready to go for your next thing. So those are my books, and that is who I am. But today we're going to be talking about detox, because it's detox time. Springtime is detox, and a raw diet is actually one of the best things that you can do if you're doing detox. So the human body actually detoxes by itself every single day. Every day your cells are pushing out toxins, we're cleaning our bodies. The problem is that we are ingesting foods that are hindering that process. So, you know, the more fats, the more animal products, and more like things like grains and pesticides and toxins and all of that, you know, junk food and everything that you're ingesting is causing a lot more problems than it's helping. So a lot of people will think they need to go you know, like get some herbs and stuff, and that's going to help, but it really, you have to clean up your diet so that the herbs that you take actually can help you cleanse. So the diet is super, super important. There are two things that you could do for detox when it comes to food. And a lot of people who have issues with or serious illnesses tend to go on a fast. I would say for fasting that you should always do fasting when you are watched over by a practitioner or something like that, because it can be very dangerous because people don't do it properly, or they come off a really toxic diet and all of a sudden aren't eating. So it can cause a lot of dump of toxins into the body. And if you're not used to it, I really don't recommend doing it anything really strong like that. I recommend doing a raw diet over fasting because of quite a few reasons, actually. When you fast, you're not ingesting any fiber for the most part. You're doing either a juice fast or you're doing a water fast or something like the Master Cleanse, and you're not getting any fiber. If you're going to do something like that, you want to make sure that you're doing the saltwater flush, which is the 1.5 liters of salt water that flushes through your system, or you do something like enemas, because the enemas will help to pull the toxins up. The reason is because your cells dump toxins into your bloodstream. So when you're fasting or you're doing a raw diet, your body isn't burdened by having to digest everything extra or dealing with the toxins and pesticides and everything else. So when the cells dump the toxins into your bloodstream, your body has to get them out somehow. So there's 2 steps to detox. There's the cells pushing the toxins out, and then there's actually getting them out of your body. So if you're not doing a saltwater flush or enemas or taking a fiber supplement or something, your body has a hard time getting those toxins out. So you can toxify your body by reabsorbing those toxins, which is kind of pointless. So by increasing your fiber, that is the #1 thing that you can do during detox to help with detox symptoms. For example, a lot of people will do, they have headaches and muscle aches and pains and heavy cravings and all of those kinds of, the detox symptoms, because they're not getting enough fiber and they're not getting rid of the toxins, getting them out of the body. So if you're doing animal products still, or you're doing something kind of like a low carb, high protein, anti-candida kind of diet, you're probably going to get constipated, which is not good when you're doing a cleanse, because you want to release everything, and the only way to do that is with high fiber. That is why a raw diet is better than fasting, because you can eat all you want, you feel full, and the high amount of fiber and hydration that you're getting from the raw foods is actually going to help your body to release those toxins. And if you think of fiber like a school bus, you want you want that to take all the toxins out of your body. You don't want the toxins to stay in. So the more fiber you can get into your daily diet, the better. Now, I eat approximately 2,400 calories a day worth of fruits and vegetables and a small amount of nuts and seeds, but it's low fat and very high fiber. Our ancestors used to eat on average 104 grams of fiber a day, which is a lot. Considering that the RDA is around 30 grams a day, and the average North American's getting 5 to 20, we are seriously lacking in the fiber department. So if you can increase the amount of fiber that you're getting by decreasing the animal products and fats, then you are more likely to, help your body along with the detox process. Another thing that a lot of people will do is they will want to do a fast, for example, before starting a raw diet. So they think, I'll jumpstart my healthy thing by doing a fast or doing a cleanse or doing something like that, and then after I will eat healthy, which doesn't happen, unfortunately, in most cases. Most cases, people will do their cleanse or their fast or whatever they do. Then they will eat healthy for maybe a week, maybe 2, pushing it, and then they go back to their regular lifestyle, and then they don't feel so great, their issues don't go away, they gain back a little bit of the weight that they may have lost, and just things start to get worse. They still have their cravings, they go back to eating the same way that they were before that was causing the issues in the first place. Then doing the cleanse they think is going to help jumpstart, but it actually hinders them. So I actually recommend that people start by doing a raw diet before jumping into anything intensive like a fast or doing like detoxes and stuff, because if you can get the diet down first, then you're more likely to stick to it when you're done your cleanse. So it's actually more beneficial to start eating this way. then you have a good foundation. And I coached a lot of people who want to do something like the Master Cleanse or, you know, whatever to jumpstart. And I try to make sure that they do at least 3 months worth of the raw diet before they get into anything cleansing. Because, like I said, the raw diet is cleansing in itself. And today we're going to talk about some things that you can do in the raw diet to facilitate your detox. So if you are doing something like a cleanse kit or whatever, the raw diet's going to be the best option for the food that you're intaking to help with the detox. Yeah, so let's talk about fiber or enemas as being extremely important, because you do need that bus to get the toxins out, or do enemas to help release the toxins out of your colon. And you might be surprised to see what comes out when you do enemas. I've heard lots of interesting stories, but the enemas are actually really beneficial if you're doing something like a cleanse. You can get those big, the water bottles, the red water bottles with the hose from like a, wherever, like a medical store or something like that for like $10. You can get them on Amazon as well. And just use warm, purified water. You can use distilled is really good. Some people do coffee enemas, but really all you just need is warm water. As long as it's toxin free, so you want to make sure that it's distilled or whatever, free of toxins. And then just use that while you're on the cleanse to help to get rid of more of the toxins, along with high fiber, obviously. So diet is the main reason we don't detox to our potential. If you think about doing like a ketogenic diet or low carb with high protein because you feel that, you know, we have to cut carbs or limit our sugar intake, and all of that is actually more detrimental than we think, because our bodies run on sugar. Each cell runs on carbohydrates, so we need that. It can run on fat or protein, but the body has to convert fat and protein into sugar for us to use it, and that's a longer process. So by cutting out the carbohydrates and increasing our protein, we are actually taxing our kidneys, which is one of the organs that we typically cleanse when we do a cleanse. So by having a high amount of animal products and trying to be low carb and eating that way on a cleanse is actually not that beneficial, because your kidneys are overtaxed and they can't, you know, it's almost like you're pressuring them to cleanse while they're trying to, you know, filter all this protein that you're eating. So again, a raw vegan diet is a lot better because the kidneys can actually say, okay, I don't have to deal with all that protein. I can deal with cleansing and actually getting better. So that's a huge benefit to doing raw. And so I want to talk about some of the herbs that you can actually use as a raw vegan to help facilitate that. And springtime is perfect because we get dandelions growing in the river valley, so you can just, you know, I like to go down there and just like, you know, get a whole bunch of dandelion greens out of the river, and I'll bring those home and rinse them, make sure that they're clean, because you don't want to have any toxins on them, but they don't really spray in the river valley, so you're pretty good to go and grab a bunch of those as long as you wash them really well. But I'll like pick dandelions like crazy during the springtime, and I add them to a lot of my salads, because the dandelion is really good for detox and for your kidneys. Parsley, again, is really good. Cilantro is awesome for detoxing heavy metals. So cilantro is very important, especially if you have fillings and you have the mercury floating around. So the cilantro is really good for that. Mint as well. Oregano is really good if you have issues with candida. And again, the candida thing is another detox that a lot of people will do in the spring. They'll do like candida or parasites. The only problem with that is that when you're consuming higher fats, so a lot of people will do like, you know, lots of avocados, lots of oils, all that kind of stuff. What happens in the body is you have all this oil in your bloodstream, and it actually blocks the lock that insulin needs to open your cell. So if you have a lot of fat in your bloodstream, blocking that lock, and say you have a big giant banana smoothie, all of that sugar in your bloodstream can't always get into your cell, because insulin comes and tries to open your cell, but it can't because of all the fat that's in the way. So you have all the sugar in your bloodstream, you're not burning it, so what's your body going to do? It's just going to sit in your bloodstream and it's going to feed your yeast. So doing higher fat, high protein is actually not good for candida issues. I dealt with candida for over 15 years. I had always had yeast infections, UTIs, you name it, cravings, weight gain, acne, like brain fog, couldn't concentrate. I had all the classic candida symptoms, plus I was diagnosed with it when I was about 21. So I dealt with it for a good bulk of 15 years. Doing cleanses, doing anti-candida diets, doing oregano and the yeast bentonite psyllium husk combination and all of that. It was more like a band-aid, like it kept it at bay, but as soon as I stopped that, it came back. And it wasn't until I became a raw vegan, low fat, that my body actually, because there was no fat in my bloodstream, or very little fat, my insulin opened the cells and I burnt the sugar right away, so the yeast didn't have time to eat it. If the yeast doesn't have time to eat it, they die off eventually, and they become more symbiotic in your digestive tract. So they don't become a problem. You will always have candida, it just won't be an issue, like they won't overgrow and cause issues. So that was one thing that I noticed on the raw diet, was my candida symptoms completely disappeared after a couple months, and I didn't even try. I really didn't. I do garlic almost every day, and I do use oregano. So those are two things that you can include in your diet to help with any candida issues. Arugula is another one, and bitter greens, because those stimulate, your digestive tract to, at a heightened state, so you can actually detox a little bit more when you include those. And again, the springtime, a lot of weeds come up, a lot of edibles. You can actually do, I don't know if they have any information here about like herb walks.
We had a practitioner that did them. I don't have contact with him anymore. I know, let me think about it and I'll see if I can remember who does.
Yeah, because
Robert Rogers does them.
Oh really?
Yeah,
okay.
that's it. Thank
Oh,
you.
perfect.
I knew there was somebody else that did one, so yeah, and that's our essential oils.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, yeah.
Wonders,
So if
yeah.
there's any way, like you can get Robert Rogers, if there's any way that you can like find his information or whatever, he does the herb walk. So you can go into the river valley and they'll tell you like what's edible, what's not, what to avoid, what you can eat in abundance. And you can learn what nature actually grows itself for us to detox in the spring, because after the winter hibernation, our bodies kind of wake up and there's sunshine, and we want to actually clean our bodies. And that's the perfect time. The perfect time for cleansing is obviously spring and fall. So in the spring, again, nature knows exactly what we need. So dandelions pop up all over the place. So dandelion is one of the best things. And also milk thistle too. Milk thistle is really good for the liver. And adding things like citrus and apples. So grapefruit, I know some people, if you're on certain heart medications, you shouldn't do grapefruit. Huh? Yeah, certain medications you shouldn't be doing grapefruit, but if you aren't on any medications, grapefruit's really good, and apples as well, because of the pectin. The pectin actually helps to bind to cholesterol, so it can help detox your circulatory system. Dill is really good. That's another herb that you can add a lot of. If you're making something like my cashew sour cream, which again, you want to keep low fat, so you're only going to use a little bit, but you can put a lot of dill in there, because dill, there are compounds in dill that activate glutathione, which is a really powerful antioxidant that protects the liver and can get rid of free radicals out of your body. So dill is another one that you should include. And beets are really good for cleansing the blood as well. So doing like a beet powder or adding beets to your salads. So I like to spiralize beets and add like a, like a date, a date apple cider vinegar with, you could add any of the herbs in there. You could do date dill garlic sauce or something like that, and add that to your beetroot, and there you have a very detoxifying meal, right? So we want to try to take advantage of everything. You could even do like a big giant romaine salad with spiralized beetroot and dandelion greens, and put lemon juice in your dressing with some oregano and you could just have like a big giant detox salad. So there are things that you can do as a raw vegan if you didn't want to do herbs or didn't want to do a cleanse kit or a fast, that you can actually naturally detox, all with just the foods that you're eating. And again, because you're not consuming toxic stuff or processed foods or animal products or any of that kind of stuff, you're actually, you know, taking the benefit of the food along with the herbs that you're consuming. So also another thing would be organics, and I don't always buy all organic because A, it's really expensive, and B, it's hard to find a lot of stuff organic when you can just get conventional, right? So I've found, like, you know, I can get a 6-pack of romaine hearts at Costco for like $6, or I can get 1.5 heads of organic romaine for the same price. So it's kind of like, I would rather have organic, but at sometimes it's not possible. But if I was going to do something like a cleanse, like a spring 2-week detox thing, I would probably focus on doing 100% organic. Even if I didn't have the variety, I would probably just focus on that, just so I'm not adding any extra toxins in that I'll have to eventually filter out. But adding more organics to your diet is definitely a bonus. And if you can grow your own, have a garden, or go to like the U of A garden, I think a lot of their stuff's organic, farmers markets, aeroponics, that kind of thing. If you can find a lot of that kind of stuff, then you're pretty good. So yeah, other than that, keeping your hydration high is a must. And you want a lot of water to help with your lymphatic system and your circulatory system and your digestion. Water is so, so important. And I've done quite a few checks in Chronometer, which is the app that I use on my phone or my computer to check my nutritional intake with the foods that I eat to make sure that I'm getting everything. But I've done comparisons with what I used to think was healthy or with what my boyfriend eats, you know, that is healthy. But I'll do comparisons of these meals in Chronometer, and the hydration that you get on raw food is unparalleled. Like, it doesn't matter if you're drinking like 2 liters of water, it's not the same as getting 2 liters of water in your food. They did a study at the University of Naples, and they had 2 groups of people. One group of people ate a cucumber, and the other group of people drank the same amount of water that was in the cucumber. After they were tested, the group that ate the cucumber was twice as hydrated as the group that just drank the water. So there's something synergistic about the water content in our food, and something about the water that you drink aside from food that is actually, like, it's almost like your body's in a water deficit when you're eating dried things like breads, crackers, dehydrated foods, kale chips, you name it. I mean, we eat a lot of dried foods, and even nuts and seeds. Anything that can sit on the shelf for a long period of time is going to be dehydrated. So your body has to find the water somehow to digest it. And it steals water from your colon, it steals water from your cells, anything to help digest it. And you can get constipated or feel like you have a rock in your stomach when you eat dried foods, because your body is just like it just sucks everything up because you need that water to digest it. Whereas if you're doing raw foods, it comes with its own water, and you're not actually stealing water from yourself. You can replenish your water from what's in the food. So again, that's another benefit to doing a raw diet when you're doing a cleanse, because you're getting a seriously huge amount of hydration. And then on top of that, doing something like lemon water first thing in the morning is really beneficial for the liver and for cleansing. And we all know that you can do a little bit of warm lemon water first thing in the morning to help stimulate the liver and detoxifying, and it helps, you know, it helps stimulate digestion as well. So yeah, but those are my tips for spring detox. And along with that, you're probably going to be losing weight when you are doing a detox, because you're releasing a lot of toxins, you're releasing a lot of old stuff. So you'll probably lose weight, but when the body secretes or releases the toxins into your bloodstream, you need that fiber again to pull it out. But if you're, when you're losing weight, your fat cells shrink. And when they shrink, it's almost like a forced detox, because as they shrink, the toxins are released into the bloodstream because there's no room to hold all of them in your cells. So your fat cells shrink, release the toxins. You have to make sure that you have a high amount of fiber as well. A lot of people who do start losing weight notice after about 2 or 3 weeks, they get flu-like symptoms and they feel like they have a cold, because it's all these toxins are running through their system because of the weight loss. But a lot of people will think, oh, well, I just changed my lifestyle and now I have the flu and I shouldn't go back to the gym. But it's like, no, you have to feed yourself. You have to support that natural detox. And the best way to do that is a raw diet. So, do you guys have any questions before I start my little demo? Lots to take in, yeah. Yes?
Low fat and high sugar is not good. So when you do raw food, if you eat a lot of veggie, they come with natural sugar too. So how to determine is low sugar or low fat?
No, actually, that's actually a misconception. Low sugar is low processed sugar,
Oh, okay.
right? Fruits and vegetables do not fall under that category. The problem is processed sugars, processed like white flour and all of that kind of stuff. That's what should be actually eliminated from your diet forever. We shouldn't be eating that anyways. It's not natural and your body reacts to it a lot differently than fruit does. I lost 70 pounds. I healed my joint pain. My hormones are regular. Now my acne went away, my candida went away after 15 years of dealing with my candida and trying a lot of the low sugar, you know, higher fat, higher protein diets. The only thing that helped me was the raw diet, and I eat some days 5 to 10 bananas a day, and I do like 15 dates at minimum a day because I do 5 with breakfast, 5 with lunch, and 5 with dinner in my dressings. So I eat a lot of sugar. But it's fruit sugar, so I don't count it as actual sugar. And the reason why you want to do low fat is because, as I was showing, once the fat gets into your bloodstream, it blocks insulin from opening your cells, so you can't actually use the sugar that you eat.
So if the fat is from like raw seed and nuts and the avocado, it will be okay too? Or?
You want to try and keep your fat in the, well, the 10% is the kind of the guide range, but I would say anything between 5 and 20%. If you're dealing with candida, 5% fats is your goal, which really is, it's called no overts. So you're going to get rid of all coconut, all oils, all avocado, all nuts, and all seeds just for the first little while you're dealing with candida. Get rid of all the fat. So when there's no fat in your bloodstream, you burn the sugar very quickly. So yeast doesn't have time to eat it. But if you're eating high fat, then the sugar stays in your bloodstream and feeds your yeast and gets stored as fat. So it's kind of like we're told to eat higher fat and higher protein, but it's actually it doesn't work. It works for a little bit of time and then it doesn't work anymore after that. It's kind of like a Band-Aid. So when you're doing high fruit, the only way to do high fruit is to do low fat at the same time. So it's the low fat that's the key. Everybody demonizes fruits because they're so full of sugar, but it's the wrong kind. Like, we're giving fruit a bad reputation because it's fat that's actually the problem. Fat and processed sugar, that's the problem. So I don't do, like if I do avocado, I do half and I do it with my evening greens. It's because you need fat to absorb certain things from your greens, like vitamin A, vitamin K, and that kind of stuff. So if you're gonna do fat, keep it with your greens and make sure that you have a lot of greens and like a big salad to compensate for the fat. There's people who are eating just half an or whole avocado, you know, with a little bit of, you know, and they eat the whole thing, but it's 77% fats, which is way too high. We want to keep our fat low. Like, you can still have avocados, I still have nuts. Yeah, just have half, or just get a really small one or whatever. Like, I found that when if I used to eat a whole avocado, like a really big one, and I had just a little salad with it, I would feel very tired after. So fruit and vegetables are free. You can eat all the fruits and vegetables that you want, and you shouldn't have to worry about it at all. It's the processed stuff, the white flour, and the fats that you have to make sure that you get rid of. So I personally don't do any oils. I haven't had oils in 3 years. So I just do the whole food just the way it is, the way nature made it. So I personally believe that oils are processed foods, so I consider them in the processed food section, and I won't use them in my food, but that's just my opinion because I find that I feel better, I have more energy. And another problem is that people aren't eating enough. When they move over to a raw diet, they think that, like for example, this bowl of tomatoes and cucumber, I made enough for everybody here, but this would be just like, no, not even. This is like half of a meal for me. Because I'll put a whole head of lettuce in there, and I probably would have put more tomatoes and another cucumber in here, and that would be my dinner with my dressing. But a lot of people will see this and be like, that's a lot of vegetables for one person, or they'll be like, this is enough for like 3 people, you know, to split at a barbecue or something like that. Whereas most people who go on a raw diet, they feel that they should, you know, that they're only going to have like a little bit here, or just have a little salad, or what they think is a big salad is actually not really that big. And then they, you know, about a week later, they're like, oh, I'm so hungry all the time. And it's like, then you gotta eat more. Like, just eat more. That's really all you need to do. Just have more volume, just eat more fruits and vegetables, eat more greens, eat more fruit, and you'll be more satisfied. That's one of the #1 reasons why people fall off a raw vegan diet, is because they're not eating enough. So you really have to watch how much you're eating. And in the beginning, I like to say to use like Chronometer or something to track your calories, because you'll be surprised at how little you're eating. When you move over to a raw diet, a lot of people are just like, I can't believe the amount of food that you eat, but that's how we lived in the past. We ate and ate and ate, and we didn't have like 9-to-5 jobs or taking our kids everywhere and doing all this kind of stuff. Like, we had the time to just sit there and eat a huge amount of fiber. Because like I said, our ancestors ate 104 grams a day, and I don't even get 80 to 90 on a good day. So that's a lot of fiber, that's a lot of food. They were probably eating between 3,000 and 3,500 calories a day, just with mostly fruits and vegetables and very little animal products. Because in order to get 104 grams of fiber, you're not eating a lot of animal products, right? Because there's no fiber in animal products. So the paleo crowd that says, you know, we ate a lot of animal products, we actually didn't in the past. It was more of a celebration thing, a starvation thing. If there was no food around, they would go hunt something, but it was very rare. So the majority of the time, we ate a plant-based diet in our past. To be able to get 104 grams of fiber a day, you need to eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. So yeah, any other questions? Yes?
Yeah, I introduced broccoli sprouts and radish sprouts this month. Should I be washing them in something special before I eat them?
No, just rinse them really well. I would use distilled water, obviously, because you don't want them sitting in like chlorine or anything like that when they're sprouting. But I don't think you just need to soak them for, you know, 6 to 8 hours before, and then when you start sprouting them, just rinse them. The more often you rinse them, the less likely that they will get moldy. So
I bought these from the store, so they're already sprouted.
Oh, they're already sprouted.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just give them a good rinse to get any, like, if there's any mold that may have started to grow on them from
Maybe
being
some
in the store.
water?
Vinegar water would work, yep.
And your
Perfect.
radish sprouts are extremely strong.
Yes, they are.
Oh, yeah.
Mustard seed sprouts are good too. I like to put mustard seed sprouts in like raw sushi, because it gives it a little bit of the wasabi flavor. So good. Yeah, but those are going to be very detoxing, because anything that has like, you know, the strong bitter flavors like that are going to help stimulate your digestion. So that's really good that you're including
So is
those.
that called a bitter green? Can you?
Yeah, I would
maybe
include that as a
another-
bitter green.
What's another bitter green?
Arugula, mustard, what else would be? Definitely arugula and mustard.
Yeah.
Radish,
They can be spicy.
yeah.
Horseradish.
Horseradish.
Anything
Anything
sprouted is
sprouted,
full of
yeah,
energy that is
exactly.
detoxifying.
It's
So
detoxifying
long.
anyway, because you're giving your body life and enzymes and all of that kind of stuff. So those would be, even the broccoli sprouts are going to be detoxifying too.
They're
So
not as strong.
they're not as strong, no.
I'm gonna make lettuce roll ups, I think.
Yes, yes. And you know, you could do like 80% broccoli and 20% radish.
Yeah.
So it's not as powerful. But yeah, and again, mustard sprouts are one of my favorites to add a little bit of, because they taste like wasabi. So they're kind of like, they have that little bit of an Asian flavor to them. They're really good in like raw sushis, or if you made like a raw salad with like sesame and mung bean and stuff like that. So that would be really good too. But yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm going to go ahead and make a raw dressing. This is going to be a variation of my French dressing that is probably one of the most popular dressings, and it's the one that I eat almost every